day. Welcome to our Community Infinity Safety Awareness podcast. I'm your host, Sonal Fool. Before we go further, we would like to acknowledge we are on traditional territory in Alberta of the many First Nation Métis and Jute footsteps were marked these lands for centuries. It is a welcoming place for all people who come from across the world and call home. Together we call upon our collective, honored tradition, spirit, and building a great country. We pledge to end systematic racism and create society based on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Today, this month, we are celebrating Vaisakhi and also is a Sikh Heritage Month also. Today, we have Amritpal Matharu with us. He does not need any introduction. He's a community worker, volunteer, and he has been emceed. He has a wonderful command on English and Punjabi, and he has been a Gurdwara Millwood Executive Committee for General Secretary. He's going to enlighten us, make us aware about the importance of Sikh Heritage Month, about the Sikh history, and how we can involve or educate our young generation and involve them. Thank you, Amrit, for taking a time for us and our viewers and enlighten us about the importance of Sikh history, which sometimes we know, but we get missed. And correct me, when we talk about the Vaisakhi month or the Sikh Heritage Month, this month on 16 1999, Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji chose this the Vaisakhi festival to create or establish a Khalsa Panth. Is that correct or?
No, 100%, and very correct in that aspect as well.
So Amrit, thank you for taking your time, and you have a vast knowledge about the Sikh history. Can you, in brief, I will really appreciate if you could please help us or tell us about the Sikh history.
For sure. I'm going to just break it down into a very, very small section here. I know we're actually out of time constraint. We can talk on for hours just Sikh history in general, maybe for another podcast.
Thank you, Amrit.
No, very briefly, Sikhi, and I'm going to break down the term into Sikhism into Sikhi, because that is the correct word for it. That is the Gurmukhi word for it, and it's literally derived from the word of Sikhna, right, to learn. And that's what a Sikh is a student. And so Sikhi was founded in the late 15th to the early 16th century, depends on what dates you want to go by. But it was by Guru Nanak Dev Ji in present day Nankana Sahib. And through spiritual teachings of the 10 living gurus and all approximately over 240 years, all of it culminated into the Shri Guru Granth Sahib, which is the eternal and forever guru of the Sikhs. It's also scripture and it's a guru as well. So it gets both titles together. And it's treated just like a guru would be, respected, highly respected, polished, cleaned, put to bed every night, woken up every morning. So very, very, there's a very spiritual and very tangible aspect to Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And of course, with Sikhi, there's 35 million practitioners throughout the world. It is a monotheistic religion, meaning there is only one almighty God or one almighty creator. And of course, we being in Canada, we have the second highest percentage of Sikhs by population anywhere in the world. So that's kind of just a very, very brief breakdown of Sikhism.
Thank you, Amrit. You did mention about the Guru Granth Sahib.
Yes.
Because he said it's your scripture and as a teacher too, right? Or a leader also. And as per my knowledge, and if I'm mispronouncing anything, please, I apologize. Please do correct me. So we have heard this thing, like we know that Guru Manyo Granth. So that what you meant by like when you brought if you can explain, I think you will be the better one.
Literally, and that was actually Guru Gobind Singh Ji's wordings that you repeated there. But Guru Manyo Granth literally is the aspect of Sikhi now, right? So the Granth, being Guru Granth Sahib Ji, contains the wisdom and the knowledge of all the 10 gurus, right? and as well as other notable poets and people that the gurus thought that their teachings were very, very relevant to humanity, are all included inside the Guru Granth Sahib. So the Guru Granth Sahib being knowledge and being words, right? Word is power, power is knowledge. So Guru Granth Mano Granth, very applicable here. And that's exactly what it is. Guru Sahib said that, hey, we should, if we kept it as a living guru, right, the meaning might change. It might deter. Word never changes. What's been written down won't change. So that's what the hukam is to all the Sikhs of the world.
Amrit, my next question is we are talking about the importance of Sikh religion. I should not be saying importance, their contribution, how significant has been. And the Gurdwaras has always been there in any tragedy we have. The Gurdwaras are always open to help, support, in the community. When we talk about Vaisakhi month, right, what is the significance? Is because all over the world we do the Nagar Kirtans. It was in BC, Edmonton is coming. Could you tell us more about it, please?
Well, Sikh history is, again, Canadian history. And even if we look at Sikh History Month, yes, it is a world phenomenon, but it was actually legislated in Canada by federal government, that being April being Sikh Heritage Month or Sikh History Month. Because again, right, we are such a large population here in Canada, being almost 2% of the population, which is actually a higher percentage than even Punjab. The significance, and basically it's just underlying the importance of what the Sikhs have contributed to society, whether it be in the economical sector of actually providing jobs, of providing economic growth, whether it be in times of tragedy, as you said, from personal experience, the Gurdwaras locally here, when Fort McMurray was on fire, right, sending food, sending aid, sending other essential supplies, filling up trucks, sending them over, whether it be helping with the food bank, right? Guru Nanak Dev Ji's legacy of having a community kitchen, making sure that no one is left hungry, make sure that everyone has enough to eat and keep their belly full, right? Whether it be that, whether it be floods in other parts of the world, whether it be earthquakes, everything, right? Khalsa Aid you probably heard of as well. All of these have just our Sikh society has such a huge contribution in the world's history that acknowledging it in 1 month, I think is kind of, it becomes small, right? We're making the situation very small, but in hindsight, it is a month where, hey, we can focus on what the contribution of Sikhs have been throughout history and continue to do so in the present day.
I'm I'm a bit older, age-wise, and then you are, and then we have a young generation coming too, right? And now we are in Canada or not in India. Sometimes what I have seen, because we are so busy in work, right? My kids also, right? Sometimes we don't go to gurdwaras or temples all the time because work needs, work demands. And sometimes because of the language we are talking or workforce and everything, we lose the language, we lose the history, we lose the customs, traditions. In your opinion, because you have learned, your parents have done a well job to keep you informed. What's your thoughts on how we can keep involved the young generation to tell them or inform them about our history, culture, heritage? And I want to broaden up this question a little bit. The question is not only about the Sikh young generation. I'm talking about the spreading the word about what the contribution of the Sikh history is.
Well, no, that's a great question, right? But you have a very packed question there, and let's break it down. So within the Sikh side of it, yes, we are busy here. We are trying to make our living here. We came here, or my parents came here for a better life for themselves and me, right? So yes, work is important. Making sure that there's food on the table is important. Making sure that the needs of the family are important as well. But in hindsight, or actually in lieu of that, right, I think it should also be our job, right, as older generation or even my generation, is to make sure the next generation is carried along. And how we do that is making sure that they're involved with Gurdwara activities. Right? I know for a fact that Nagar Kirtan committees around Canada, they are looking for volunteers all the time. Right? When you're handling, for example, here locally, when you're handling almost 70, 80,000 people, or the Sangat, it's hard to manage that, right? You need volunteers, you need people who can actually keep everyone on the roads, making sure everything is safe, just getting involved that way, right? Going to the Gurdwaras provide Punjabi schools, right? Gurmukhi schools where they teach Path, they're teaching Gurmukhi, they're teaching the language, right? To keep that tradition alive. Um, but those are just some of the things within the Sikh circles we can do. But even just attending the Gurdwara, I still remember that there were different, even when I wasn't in Punjabi school or something like that, I would just go out and help, right? Do seva, right? And it'd be something very small. It'd be like, oh, we were working outside, cleaning the parking lot, whatever it was. Someone would come and just give you a glass of water, right? And some other uncle or someone would say, ਅੱਜ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭਾਈ ਕਨਈਆ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ. And those small little hints that we have, right? Who is Bhai Kanhaiya? What was their contribution? Why was this person that just gave water acknowledged that way, right? And it just gets your curiosity going. And with the amount of information that we have now, right, it's very on demand, and kids have access to it. They're on their iPads, their phones, even their gaming tablets all have internet access, and they can do simple searches. So instead of maybe searching for something that's vile or something that's disturbing or following one of these TikTok stars, maybe they're doing some research on who Bhai Kanhaiya was, what his contributions to Sikhi are. Right? So it's just small things like that. Being involved with your people, being involved with the community, right? It gets your curiosity going, and that's a big part of how we can keep our traditions and the culture and the religion alive and well, and make sure that we're flourishing, making sure that kids are going in the right direction that way. As far as people that aren't Sikhs and just their and we want to figure out how we want to keep or actually introduce Sikhi to them, or making sure that they just know their neighbor, right? What happens in that beautiful building that has domes, has this orange flag that never goes down? What happens inside of there? And we as a community need to integrate within our communities, and being openness, making sure that we bring people inside, making sure we show them what the Gurdwara is. Hey, there is this sense of community here. It's more than a religious center. It's a community center as well, especially in the Western world. And other than that, there's different activities that are promoted during Sikh History Month. Yes, Nagar Kirtans are one of them. And as you know, locally in Alberta, our Nagar Kirtans happen in May because of our beautiful, beautiful weather. But that's another is make sure you bring your friends, right? Make sure you bring and show them, hey, you need to keep your head covered and you have to be respectful and whatnot. So all of those things need to happen, right? So and it's a community effort as well. Other than that, there's also Sikh raising festivities that happen. And I should say Nishan Sahib raising festivities that happen at local government institutions all over Canada as well. This year, unfortunately, we didn't happen to have one here locally, but other than that, there's always lectures that happen. There's always introduction to Sikhi that happens. There's all these speakers that come from all around the world, right? Just reach out, follow some Twitter pages. Even Sikh History in Edmonton or Sikh History in Alberta is a very good resource on Twitter as well. They always highlight their events that are happening. And like I said, resources are infinite at this moment. You can pick up your phone, right? Simple Wikipedia search of what Sikhi is, right? It will give you a good breakdown. If you have questions, great. Now you can take those questions, push them into a lecture that you're going to. Maybe raise your hand and ask. And I bet if you're asking those questions, a few other people in that lecture are as well.
Thank you, Amrit. I have two questions. You talk about the community work. You talked about the Nagar Kirtan and the volunteer. I have participated in India as well as here, be part of the Nagar Kirtan. is a fantastic moment. You see anyone and everyone there. Thousands and thousands of people are watching. It's tremendous, it's like eye-opening thing. The question I have here, and because you did mention about the volunteers, for the Nagar Kirtan happening in Edmonton, if someone wants to volunteer, I'm talking about the whole community, not only the Sikh community, how they can contact or whom they should be contacting, or if you can tell us a little bit about Nagar Kirtan also for the people who don't know about it.
Yeah, and I forget that Nagar Kirtan, just because it's so being such a large event that people still don't realize what it is. It's one of actually Edmonton's best, worst kept secrets, if you want to say it that way. Best kept secret, as not many people know. Worst kept secret because we had 70,000 people last year. So um, but still, there isn't people like that aren't in the southeast part of the city, right? A lot of them don't realize what this is and how big of an event this is. But Nagar Kirtan is essentially a parade that goes from Gurdwara, either from one Gurukar on Millwoods Road, from Gurdwara Millwoods to Gurdwara Singh Sabha, or from Gurdwara Singh Sabha to Gurdwara Millwoods. And essentially, it's a procession, right, led by Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and actually, I should say, led by the Panch Pyare, or the five beloved ones, who are the protectors at that point of Guru Sahib. And essentially, it's a parade down one route with all the Sangat and all the disciples and whoever believes the Sikhi, they're behind there, but that doesn't limit to only Sikhs, right? You can come out, you can ask questions, as long as everyone's respectful, everyone obeys the boundaries of, or I should say, the decorum of the event. It's not an issue. And obviously, there's always good food, right? All of it's free. Langar seva, water seva, whatever you need is always free and willing. And how you can help out is easy. Just get in touch with one of the gurdwaras. They will write down your name and your information, and they will coordinate it all together with the Nagar Kirtan committee and get you on something that you're suited for. So it could be, if it's a smaller child, maybe they're in control of traffic, just keeping everyone off the grass and on the street and on the sidewalks. Or if you're a little bit older, even seniors, right? There's duties for them, such as just giving out prasad or the communal day that happens behind Guru Sahib as well. But so many people, right? You can imagine getting 70,000 people to be all formed, to get going in one direction is a lot of work. So there's always something to do. Even if you don't want to formally volunteer, right? Just making sure that you have a garbage bag with you and you see trash that's been left in the street or something, picking that up, throwing it out. We as Sikhs, right? We being minorities, right? There's always going to be that attachment to it. Was a Sikh Canadian, it was an Indian Canadian, it was a brown person basically that was doing something like that. So we want to be cognizant of that, right? We as a minority, we don't just represent ourselves, we represent the entire community, and that's important as well. Is that we make sure that we leave these spaces, that public spaces that we use, better than we found them, right? It becomes a matter of our reputation as a community.
Amrit, I know we have a time constraint too, and you're a busy person, and there are so many questions are coming, like, related to the Panch Pyare, the classes which we are, the Gurdwaras we do. So question about the classes is only for the Sikh, or anyone can go and learn any community member can go and learn?
Yeah, so I'll speak from the Gurdwara Millwoods perspective, just because I was the general secretary in that organization, and the general secretary automatically has the duties of chairman of the school, or the chairperson of the school, I should say. And as the chairperson, I got to see firsthand that it is a fully developed curriculum, right? So it doesn't have to be. You cannot speak a lick of Punjabi, come to the Gurdwara, come to the school, right? It is for younger people. We are thinking of starting something for older students as well, just because there is a stigma of going to school with a younger person. So we're thinking of starting something that's for older people, for maybe someone that's in their late teens, early 20s, or even older, right? That hasn't had a chance to learn Gurmukhi or Punjabi. But right now you can start at 5 years old, right, and be enrolled into basically kindergarten. And we have classes all the way up to grade 6 right now. And basically it's just beginnings, right? First, it starts off with the alphabet, just like you would go to school here. There's a well-developed curriculum. There's actually resources that are developed just for the school itself, making sure that we have the practice and making sure we have maybe smaller homework assignments that have to be completed from week to week. And community has given such a great response to that, that there's actually 2 days, instead of just being Sundays now, it's Saturday and Sunday, where there's two different sessions, and you have approximately 400 kids coming in and trying to learn Gurmukhi and trying to learn Sikh history, starting to learn the history of our gurus, right? What each guru's contribution or teachings were towards Sikhi, and obviously, eventually the goal being that hey, our language and our culture and the religion move forward in a positive direction.
Before I go further, do we have a date for Nagar Kirtan for you did mention is in my, do we have a date and time for Edmonton?
We do, May 20th, which is the Victoria weekend, long weekend Sunday. That's the Nagar Kirtan. And it will be starting from Shri Guru Singh Sabha, Gurdwara Singh Sabha, and proceeding towards Gurdwara Millwoods.
Thank you. Amrit, I know you, it's so much to learn about it, and there's so many questions. I have a request, if I can request you to have a second part of the podcast where we can talk a little bit more. Will you be able, you will honor us to have you again?
Anytime. This was a pleasure.
Amrit, before we end, is anything important which the community, which you know about the Sikh history, Sikh heritage, Sikh culture, which I have missed, if you want to tell us, before I go to the message to the community?
It's actually a very simple message, right? Make sure that when you are out there representing, you are representing the entire community. So just remember that, remembering the teachings of our gurus, right? What they taught us, how they told us to uphold ourselves in public, within a community, and making sure that we do have time for Nam Japana, Vantage Shakra, and Seva, and every single teaching that every single guru has provided. So that's my only, basically my, I guess you could say my advice to the community is that's it. Our gurus knew what they were talking about. It's proven over and over again. So let's just follow that and making sure that we're humans first before anything else.
Before I end, Amrit, I would like if you can give a message to the young generation. The reason being why I'm saying I will be specific, the violence has been increased all over Edmonton, to how to direct their energy in a right way. If you can include that message, I will be really appreciating.
All right, it's very simple. Making sure that you are part of the community. I know that sometimes older people will deter you. I know it happened to me as well, where you go to the Gurdwara and they tell you you're too young for this or you're that. But it's starting out small, maybe just doing seva, right? Helping in the kitchen, helping serve food, whatever it is, make sure you get that attachment with you. And from there, you'll actually start seeing that the growth of yourself will be infinite as well. And moving on into different sections of your life, it helps going through, and it grounds you. It really does ground you. And being the humility to serve, doesn't matter what your socioeconomic status is, doesn't matter who's trying to pressure you at school, right? Just getting into being that part of the community, getting involved, right? Making those connections is very, very important. And like I said, you can come talk to me, come talk to someone that looks just a little bit older than you, who is attached with the Gurdwara, and they'll tell you the same thing. I'm always available to talk. My social medias, I can even give them to you, Sunny, as well, making sure you post them. Connect with me. Let's talk. I'll introduce you to the Gurdwara. I'll come introduce you to people that are just like you, are trying to fight through high school, trying to fight through junior high, right? Are trying to, I should say, avoid pressures of your peers, right? So it happens, and I know because I was born and raised here. I went through the system as well. So but just having that sense of purpose or having that sense of community can go a long way, and you aren't alone.
Thank you, Amrit, and thank you for such a positive, encouraging message to the young generation, because we need a support. And when you are in the same age group, you helping and you are even volunteering to come and help and support them is tremendous. As I say, God bless you, for all your adventures which you are coming or you are going to have. All the best wishes. Um, Thank you, Amrit. Before we go, do you have any last words to say?
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was definitely a pleasure. I hope I didn't confuse too many people too much, but it's very, very simple message that hey, we're together. We need to work together, right, to make sure that we do provide safe communities. We do encourage that, and uh, it's one little step towards making sure that we're all safe, all secure, and we're moving forward together.
Thank you, Amrit. And I repeat his word, what he said, and kudos to his parents who has kept involved him in the community and encouraged him to be part of the community. As Amrit said, let's work together to a better community, safer community for all the religions, all the different parts, whatever you believe. We all deserve to have a safe community, better community. Thank you, Amrit, for your time, and we will be tapping you on for our second episode. You're watching our Community Infinity Safety Awareness podcast. I'm your host, Sonal Fool. Stay blessed, stay safe.
Connections is very, very important. And like I said, you can come talk to me, come talk to someone that looks just a little bit older than you, who is attached with the Gurdwara, and they'll tell you the same thing. I'm always available to talk. My social medias, I can even give them to you, Sunny, as well, making sure you post them. Connect with me. Let's talk. I'll introduce you to the Gurdwara. I'll come introduce you to people that are just like you, are trying to fight through high school, trying to fight through junior high, right? Are trying to, I should say, avoid pressures of your peers, right? So it happens, and I know because I was born and raised here. I went through the system as well. So but just having that sense of purpose or having that sense of community can go a long way, and you aren't alone.
Thank you, Amrit, and thank you for such a positive, encouraging message to the young generation, because we need a support. And when you are in the same age group, you helping and you are even volunteering to come and help and support them is tremendous. As I say, God bless you, for all your adventures which you are coming or you are going to have. All the best wishes. Thank you, Amrit. Before we go, do you have any last words to say?
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was definitely a pleasure. I hope I didn't confuse too many people too much, but it's very, very simple message that hey, we're together. We need to work together, right, to make sure that we do provide safe communities. We do encourage that, and it's one little step towards making sure that we're all safe, all secure, and we're moving forward together.
Thank you, Amrit. And I repeat his word, what he said, and kudos to his parents who has kept involved him in the community and encouraged him to be part of the community. As Amrit said, let's work together to a better community, safer community for all the religions, all the different parts, whatever you believe. We all deserve to have a safe community, better community. Thank you, Amrit, for your time, and we will be tapping you on for our second episode. You're watching You're watching our Community Infinity Safety Awareness podcast. I'm your host, Sonal Fool. Stay blessed, stay safe.